of La Penta. This is WICR.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports File. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe, and we are rolling along with the NCAA tournament picks and breakdown. Had a lot of fun, just broke down the Midwest and the West. Those segments will be posted later to YouTube, so if you missed them, not a chance you have to worry. Watch them later, help you out with your bracket, anything we can do. But I'm really excited to break down the East because the East is very fun. Same thing with the South. I mean, both of these very filled regions. I think some teams that are underseeded, it's going to be very close though. These are probably the two more difficult ones to break down. But let's start off. Obviously, with Villanova and Lafayette. I love Villanova. A lot of people think this is Jay Wright's best team. It very well might be. I mean, the biggest thing that they do well is they really spread the floor well. They can knock down threes. They play defense. And Jay Wright's teams always do the fundamental things right. And I think in the tournament sometimes, that's something you can't disregard. Doing the little things right, doing the fundamental things right, hitting your free throws. We do see sometimes that stuff really is what backfires on people. You cannot miss on the fundamental things in these tournaments because one little thing goes wrong and you're out. You're going home. That is going to be huge. I like Jay Wright's team a lot, though. I think, obviously, they beat the 16 seed Lafayette, whatever Lafayette is. Then North Carolina State and LSU. This is a tough one. I like LSU. LSU gave Kentucky a pretty good match. And again, whenever you see somebody play Kentucky well, you kind of give them a little bit of nod of respect just because how good we know Kentucky is. But I like North Carolina State. They play in an incredibly difficult ACC. Everybody in the ACC is very, very good. They have a good offense. They hit the three well. They move the ball well. I think they easily, well, I don't know about easily beat LSU. LSU is good, but I do think NC State has enough firepower that LSU just probably can't match. Now the next one you have one of the most boring games of the tournament. I don't even know. I mean, Colin Coward said that if Northern Iowa and Wyoming had a chance to watch themselves play, they probably wouldn't even play, and I would not disagree. This is not a great matchup. You go with the 5 seed Northern Iowa here. I mean, nobody probably knows much about Wyoming or Northern Iowa. Not a lot of people watching those games. You go with the 5 seed here. I don't think there's much chance. I mean, no one really is going to have them moving on past this point anyway. So if you are wrong, it's not going to really hurt you that much because no one's really going to know what to do with this matchup. So you just give it the edge to the team with the higher seed, Northern Iowa. Probably going to be like a 36-33 game anyway. Don't waste your time watching this one. Louisville is the next one up, and obviously you always have to like Louisville. Rick Pitino has championship pedigree on his resume. They're always relevant. They play very well defensively, but they cannot shoot for a lick. If you watch them in the ACC tournament, if you watch them all year, you know this is a team that struggles to hit shots not just from the three-pointer, but just from around the perimeter. That is going to be a detriment to them, but they do have enough to get past UCR Irvine in this game. Louisville, though, I don't know. I mean, I'll get to them in a minute where I have them going, but I just think not being able to shoot is just you can't not have that because there's so many teams in this region who really can light you up. Just hitting critical shots, efficient shots from around the perimeter, and that's going to be the big thing that knocks down Louisville. Then you have Providence taking on the winner of Dayton tonight. I have Dayton beating Boise tonight, but I do think Providence will win that game, and I do have Providence winning 2 games. I have Providence winning this game and then beating Oklahoma. I don't know what it is, but when I watch Providence in their tournament, I just like something about them. They're efficient with the ball. They move the ball well. They can hit shots. I feel like it's a good group. I really feel like when you watch the kids, there was a general feeling of collective togetherness. I like their coaching staff that they put together. I think Providence is good. They do a lot of things you like well. They hit their free throws, and they are going to get fouled. I do think Providence is a team to watch out a little bit for here. I like them a lot from what I've seen. Then you have Oklahoma, and you look at Oklahoma playing Albany. Again, I didn't watch a ton of Oklahoma this year. I do think Oklahoma is good, but there were a couple times I watched them where I scratched my head a little bit. They do have some size. They can hit some shots from around the perimeter. But I don't know if there's ever been a game where I watched them and I felt really confident about their ability in this tournament. It's more of a gut thing than anything that I'm going with Providence over Oklahoma when you go to the round of 32, but I'll get to that one in a minute. Now, this is Michigan State is the next one, and they are definitely the most underseeded team at number 7, taking on Georgia. Again, Georgia's not bad. I saw Georgia play Kentucky. It wasn't miserable, but Michigan State, I definitely don't think this is one of Tom Izzo's better teams in the last couple years, but the one thing you've got to love about them is Tom Izzo himself. I think when you're on the fence for a lot of games, you've got to give the edge to the better coach and the better point guard. Here, you look at Tom Izzo's record, getting out of the first round, it's almost automatic throughout his career. I mean, it really is. I do think that he will get out of there. Now, there's not a ton here. I like Valentine on their side, but I don't think there's a ton of collective good groups of players on his team. I mean, they played really well in that Big 12 in the Big 10 championship game, but couldn't get it done against Wisconsin. Wisconsin, when they had to, just shut them down in that overtime. I mean, they could not do anything. I do have them playing Virginia in the round of 32, but I don't know if they can get past this point. I don't have them getting past that point. Then you go to Virginia and Belmont. Now, Virginia, I felt like all year, aside from Kentucky, are probably the best defensive team in the country. I really do believe that. The thing that I've been saying about them all year that is going to be their doom is their pace on offense. They play with one of the slowest paces in the country on offense. Now, they're efficient. They move the ball well, but they are incredibly slow. It's a snail pace slow. They hit shots, but I think they're too slow. They're going to run into an opponent like I have them playing a Villanova, and they're just not fast enough to stay on the court with Villanova offensively. When you look at their games, yes, they build these leads, but the leads fall apart, and then they're in trouble because they're not fast enough offensively. Justin Anderson's health is also huge. He's one of the most important pieces for that team. Now, I love their head coach, Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett is a great coach. He's figured out what their identity is. But kind of like I was talking about with Notre Dame earlier, Notre Dame has that ability where they can adjust their style to however they want to play you. Virginia, you know how they want to play you. They're going to be... there's not much you can do to stop their tempo defensively. They're just too good defensively. But on offense, they have to play slow. They can't play fast or they'll get fuzzled. Their ball movement won't be good. They won't be the same team. And that is going to be the ultimate reason why they fail, Virginia, is the tempo on offense. But of course, they will beat Belmont. Belmont should stick to other things, not beating Virginia. So I have Villanova playing North Carolina State. I have Villanova winning that one. Then I have UNI against Louisville. Louisville, I'm scared about the way that they play on offense. They're not that talented offensively, but they have enough to beat UNI. UNI, there's not a lot to like there. So I have Villanova playing Louisville. Then Providence against Oklahoma. Like I told you, I have Providence winning this game. It's more of a gut thing than anything, but I saw a lot of things to like about Providence. I think they do a lot of good things well offensively, ball movement included. I think they do beat Oklahoma. Then Michigan State and Virginia. I have Virginia beating Michigan State. Tom Izzo, never count out his teams. It'll be close, especially knowing what Virginia's identity is and knowing how to counter them. But I do have Virginia beating them and then moving on to play Providence. So I have Villanova, Louisville, Providence, Virginia. Like before, Louisville, this is the point where it runs out for them. They're just not talented enough offensively to hang around with Villanova. Villanova will space them out. They'll just be too good offensively, knocking down shots. Now, Louisville is very good defensively. That'll help a little bit. But Villanova, there will come a point where you're going to need to get steady baskets. Louisville cannot produce them. I have Villanova moving on to play Virginia. Of course, I like Providence, but there will be a point with Providence where talent and just scheme will be too much. Virginia has too much of that. So I have Villanova playing Virginia. And then moving into the Final Four from the East against Villanova and Virginia, I have Villanova. Like I said before, The thing that scares me and has scared me about Virginia all year is their pace of play on offense. It is too slow. Justin Anderson being out is a major loss, and there's going to be Villanova is fast. If there's anything that they do well, is they are fast. They move the ball well and transition. It's going to be too much for Virginia to handle. Now, they'll keep it close to a point because of how good defensively they are, but there's going to be a point where Villanova, the shots are going to start flying, the pace, the tempo will increase, and at that point, Virginia just won't have enough. So I do have Villanova coming out of the East. So kind of concluding it all to this point before we get to the last region, the South. In the Final Four right now, I have Kentucky and Wisconsin, and then Villanova coming out of the East. We will get to the South after we take a quick break, but that is it at this point. A lot of good things to break down. I think a lot, like I said before, a lot of people I feel like are going to have very similar Final Fours. Almost everyone will have Kentucky winning it all. Where you cannot afford to miss is in the first two rounds. You've got to hit as many of them as possible. That's the only way you're going to build your lead, because everyone's going to have very similar Final Fours and Elite Eights, because we understand in these tournaments, it really is, there's not much parity. You always normally get one of the first couple 3 or 4 seeds. It's always going to be one of those teams. So you've got to make your money in the first couple rounds. So stay with us, and we will be right back with the South, breaking it down. And I got to say, out of all of the regions, I think this is going to be the most exciting one. I really can't wait to break this one down. Be right back.